Okie doke. So this is what your inside brochure should be looking like. You've got the layout, nothing really new from here. Remember, when you do one panel, the other ones should look, at least the layout wise, exactly the same. All you're changing out is the colors and the information. So this is what's going to make it go quickly. You're keeping things the same. Copy it, paste it, and then change up what's needed. The inside, or excuse me, the outside of it is where we're going to do our front of this. Remember, when you flip it over, it doesn't read from right to left anymore. The front of it needs to be on the far right-hand side. Excuse me, I meant to say left to right. Should be on the right-hand side of where you're going to place it. Of course, if you make a brochure for a company, the company wants to have their logo, so we need to place that in there. And also, I've got some other pictures that you can use to incorporate with it. If you go to today's Moodle page, here are the instructions. I should probably pass out the instructions for you as well for today's project, and also some open road pictures and the company logo. Y'all take one of these and pass it around. Sorry about that. I'll split it up this side. Make sure everybody just gets one. You can see on the instructions I've picked up, they're calling it Part 4, and that'll run through the back of the page through Part 9, where you can print it off. And this just picks up where the last instructions will leave off. When you download everything, close this out. Go away. Uh-oh, one more. These are the open road pictures. So they're just pictures, kind of stock photos of straight line roads. Feel free to change the colors on these if you want to. You know how to edit them, you know how to change colors, you can do that as well. And we're also going to edit the logo to work with. This is the first thing we'll do. Download the EPS, drag it into Illustrator. The first thing we need to do is to add the company colors to this particular logo. Now, if you work with a company, they're usually very, very concerned about branding. What is branding? My graphic design 3 people should definitely know this one, 3 and 4.
Their persona.
Their persona.
Their, personality.
Exactly. It's how they're showing themselves to the world. Most companies have a specific color that they have in mind whenever they have a logo associated with them. Harley-Davidson has a particular color. What color is Harley-Davidson? Orange. So they don't just have any shade of orange. If I opened up my color picker and I said make it orange, well, you've got all these tints, shades, some are redder, some are yellow. How do you figure out what exactly color you need? This is how they do it. There are companies out there, if you didn't know these, that sell colors. Literally, you can buy ink that's the exact color that you need it to be. These are called Pantone colors. So if somebody says, I need a certain Pantone color, they'll usually pull out this book and you get to pick the exact color that you need. They're all associated by number. So if I said I need a specific tint or shade of orange, I can pull to these oranges, there we go, and say, all right, which one do you want? And they pick these out and be able to use these as well. If you go to a t-shirt company, sometimes they want a specific color or shade of yellow or orange. What's MC's color? Blue and gold. What shade of blue and gold? I guarantee they have a specific Pantone color that you can use, a specific Pantone gold. If y'all had to guess, what do you think Harley-Davidson's orange is? Anybody want to try to look through and figure it out? Take on that task?
I'll tell you.
Right. Don't look at your instructions. It's actually written down on the instructions.
Hey guys. You get this one or this one?
Okay, what's the number with it?
142.
Okay.
No, just kidding, 143 or 144.
Okay, 143, 144. So let's see it. One of these two is where it's about at. What's the real one? Y'all look on your instructions. 165. Not too close. One off by just a little bit. But I can go to a printer down the street and say, I need Pantone 165. Or I can go to a printer in another country and say, I need Pantone 165. And it will be exactly the same. The inks will be exactly the same because of these type of systems. So for the first thing we need to do is we need to add Pantone 165 to the top portion, the bottom, and the little box that's around Harley Davidson. If you look at the screen, you may have to look on here, you can see it, Chelsea. When I select this logo, it looks like it's just black and white. But look at my fill color, it's only showing me black. The reason why is because that white is actually transparent. Watch what happens if I put it over here. So it's been cut out. There's no real white on there. You're seeing the white behind it. So I need to fill in this particular area with that Pantone color. First, let's find our Pantone colors. I've got my swatches open, and there's a bunch of different colors. I need to know the specific one. So here's how to find the Pantone swatches to work with. Go to Window, and like to hide it. Swatches Library, in the color books. So this is a book of color that I just fanned out for y'all. And here's all different types of color books. And you can see Pantone has different types of books to work with them. What's the exact number on it? 165C. That C stands for coated. In other words, what would it look like if it was on glossy coated paper to be printed with? If it has a U, it's uncoated. So 165C. So here we are, the Pantone solid coated in all the colors that you can purchase and use with the Pantone system. If you hover over any one of these, you can see it'll pop up and actually give you the Pantone number for whichever one you're over. Or if you wanted to find it, you can type it in up here. So 165, we'll hit return. Look very closely, there's 165 right there highlighted. If I click on it, you can see now it's been added to my color swatches to work with them. So this is how you can use Pantones and move them around within your specific design. Now let's actually have some fun. Let's fill in this logo. I'm going to select the logo, select the area that I want to fill it in. If I just click the Pantone color, it's only going to change out the black. That's not what I want. What I'd like to do is to quickly fill in these particular areas. In Photoshop, you've got a paint bucket that allows you to click and fill in areas. Illustrator has the same thing. Look in the middle of your toolbox and try to find the tool called the Live Paint Bucket. If you don't see it, it's hiding under the Shape Builder or the Paint Selection tool. The Live Paint Bucket, with it selected, you can now choose another color. So I'm going to choose orange, and then click in the area I want to fill in, and it will fill in that specific spot. And when you roll over it, it'll start giving you an outline of that particular area. So very, very quickly, you can fill in solid areas once they've been created.
Does that create like a new shape?
It does, yes. It's a new vector shape. I'll show you that in just a second. So we'll fill in all of those. I need to fill in the white areas too with white, because remember it's all transparent. So looks like I'm doing nothing, but I'm actually filling white on top of white very, very quickly. All good. Once it's been created, the easiest way to explain this, Illustrator, in order for it to see these areas, has a specific editing mode. To bring it back into the normal vector mode, we need to expand it. So the main thing to remember, once you've finished, click the Expand button at the very top center of your Tool Options palette. And then it'll turn it back into normal vectors. And like you were saying, is it all different things? It is. I can ungroup it. And so now this is one solid vector object. This is another vector object. Of course, we want to keep them together. All right, so I've got it colorized in. I'll save it up. We'll say OK. Then we'll close that down. Let's go back into our InDesign document. Like I said, we're going to be working on the second page. This will be the front side cover. I'll move this out of the way. The first thing we need to do is to load up a picture that I've given you, some of those open road pictures. So let's make a box. Always remember to drag your picture boxes out to the bleed edge, and we'll drop in one of the open road pictures. I'll choose one at random. Once you place it in there, you will need to resize it and refit it up. Maybe even move it around so that it's in the proper place. That looks pretty good right there. And we'll also place in our logo. If you look at your instructions, I do give you one specific stipulation. I want you to make a picture box that's a specific size. Is it 2.5 by 2.5? So the width and the height need to be 2.5 by 2.5. Inside this box, we're going to drop in the logo. Changed up, there it is. And we'll scale it to fit inside of there as well. All the way inside. For the front, you can place this logo anywhere on the front panel. You can rotate it, you can make it high or low, but do not change the size of that logo. Keep it exactly the same. Don't make it smaller or larger. You can rotate it, but do not change the size of it. So as you play around, make it whatever you've done. You can see how I've laid out mine. I've got the type up at the top and the bottom, and the logo in the center. The second thing we need to do is to add the text to it. This will be our headline text. Their slogan is "Love the Road." And also it needs to have the year catalog, 2014. So I'm going to make one text box, really large, and we'll call it "Love the Road." With this one, we can format it to make it larger. So, whoops. If this was our hierarchy, this would be the Papa Bear information. This needs to be the largest, most dominant thing. So when you edit this text, make sure you've got a font that's nice and bold. You can make one word or several words as large as you need it. So if I wanted to say, have the word love be the largest thing, maybe I'd retype it all caps. Love the road. Choose a font that's nice and bold. Let's see here. We'll do Old Press. Hey, that's kind of cool. Question?
Is it road or ride?
Ride. I'm sorry. Ha! My dyslexia is kicking in today. Love the ride. Love the ride. Thank you for catching that. And all I'm doing is adjusting the size. I'm adjusting the leading to be exactly where I need it to be. You don't have to turn it to the side the way I've shown it here. As long as it fits within the area, you're certainly welcome to do that. Let's make this a little smaller so I can bring it up. That would fit well within this particular area. Here's some other examples that I created on the other page. It can be a sans serif or a serif font. You can change up the position of it, so you've got it down here, you've got the logo in the center. You can mix up two different fonts. You can keep them all the same and have everything in equal width. You can make one, here's where I made love a lot larger. Whatever it is, as long as this text is the most dominant text, that's what you need for it to be. Make sense? Same way for catalog. You can change up the size of it and placement. This needs to be probably the baby bear type thing. Secondary is probably going to be your logo. So let's say I'll use this one. I'll just drag this one up. We'll work with it. Once you've got your text all set up and it's in the same text box, so no two text boxes, we need to create the outlines for this particular text. When was the last time we created outlines for something? What project did we do that in?
Cowboy District?
No? Y'all remember the first project we did with the, yeah, what was it?
Chocolate.
Yeah, chalkboard type drawing. You had to create outlines in order to get the vector points for each of the letters. You can do the same thing in InDesign. With it selected, go up to Type, choose Create Outlines, and it's no longer editable text. It's actually the individual vector points. They're grouped together, so we're going to go Object and ungroup them. And so now you can see that each little points can be moved around. If you used your white arrow, you can actually click these and move them and edit them up just the way you would in Illustrator. But that's not what we're going to do for today. Instead, we're going to use this as a means of creating reverse type. Second thing we need to do, I'm going to make another white box on the background, or at least putting it behind the type we're working with. click and drag, change the color to white, and we'll send it backwards. Bring it forward. There we go. So I've got a white box. I've got text on top of it. We'll select both the box and the text. Now I need to punch holes through the white area in the shape of the letters. Here's how we're going to do it. In the Pathfinder palette, if you don't see it, you can always go to Window, Object, and choose Pathfinder. I've got mine open. This is what it looks like. The Pathfinder will allow you to combine and merge different shapes. And you can kind of get an idea of what each one of them will look like. So for instance, if I'm adding two shapes, it'll merge them together into one solid shape. The one we're using is the Subtract, the second one. This will cut away whatever's on front from what's behind it. So with both of them selected, click Subtract, and this is what I'm left with. Pretty cool? You can now see the picture behind it. No matter where I move it, you get an idea of what that picture is. So if I wanted to have reverse type with an image showing through my letters, that's how you do that. Create your text, create the outlines, and then punch it through whatever color you want it to be. From here, the rest of the design is up to you. You can add things to it. You can add effects to your text. So for instance, you can see I added a little gradient feather to this particular box. And that was that effects that we were playing with earlier. That allows you to gradiate the transparency of the box you're working with. You can also see that I used a circle to cut out a circular shape from the bottom of it. That way my logo fits well within inside of it. Everything else I'm leaving up to you, how you want to lay it out, as long as you have some sort of reverse type on your front design. Make questions? Any questions? Make sense? Any questions about this? All cool? You're doing two different brochures, so two different front cover designs, and then two different motorcycles on the inside. The last thing, and I'll turn it back over to you, is how do you print this two-sided? If you go to File and Print, not too much different. What size paper should we be printing on? Legal size? Our document is legal size.
Tabloid?
Tabloid. Why do we choose tabloid?
Big.
It's bigger. You want to print on something that's bigger than your actual document. So tabloid is what we need. That's under Setup, so change our paper size to the tabloid. You can change the position to be centered. I like that for when I'm cutting it out. So centered. You do need to turn on your crop marks and bleed marks because you're printing all the way to the edge. And under the color management, what's the best color to set up?
Printer.
The printer. So change your, color handling to whatever printer that you have. Here's the next key feature. To print on both sides of the paper, click on the word printer. It'll say, are you sure? We'll say okay to that. In the printer setup, choose two-sided, and you may have to choose the show more details, but there's two ways you can flip your paper, along the long edge binding or the short edge binding. And notice you kind of get a preview of what it would look like. I want you to choose the short edge binding. Here's why. Let's say you had, where's my brochure? Oh, here it is. So let's say you had a document. It's going to print on both sides of it. Now when we flip it, we're flipping it this way, right? So you can see it. So I'm flipping it along the short edge, okay? What would happen if I flipped it this way? It would be upside down. So if you print something and then you try to fold it, you realize, oh, one side's upside down from the other one. It's because you flipped it or printed it on the wrong edge. You need to flip it the way it's going to go. Cool? Now if you set your document up this way and you flipped it, that would probably be okay. This is the way we would want to flip our document. Short edge binding for that one. Most printers work that way. So if you have your own home printer that can do two-sided, you would need to set that up to do it that way as well. Once it's done, you can hit print. Hit print for this one. I'm going to hit cancel. You're going to cut them out, fold them up, and turn in the physical copy. No digital documents are what you're going to turn in for this one, just the physical copy from that. Any questions on this particular thing? Okay. We'll turn it back over to you. Let y'all.